You're watching Minnesota Vikings Now. I am Tom Downey. Today's show is look at the top 20 free agent targets for the Minnesota Vikings, a wide batch of players and positions and varying potential contracts as well. A brief overview here of the biggest needs. Cornerback kind of stands out. Linebacker, edge, the defense needs help, right? Wide receiver with Adam Thielen's future uncertain. The interior offensive line with Garrett Bradbury said to be a free agent, also worth considering, and maybe some more guard shuffling too. Before we get to our list here, we want to hear from you guys. So name one free agent who you want to sign. Only one. You've got money to spend on almost anyone you want, but drop that one player for us at the pinned comment of today's video. Let's hit the top free agents. No particular order here, so make sure you watch all the way through. TJ Edwards, the Eagles linebacker, was pretty solid this past year for a player that I don't think was expected to play as well as he did. 159 tackles, 10 TFLs. The Eagles have a bunch of contracts to give out because their roster's great. That's what happens. You eventually do lose some players. Adding Edwards at linebacker with Brian Asamoah feels like a great 1-2 punch in Minnesota. Anthony Brown is next up here. If you want some stability at cornerback, he is coming off an injury, which raises some big-time red flags about his availability. This is a decent option. Brown is a serviceable starter. When he's not getting flagged for underthrown PI balls, which, not the cornerback's fault. I hate that rule. Brown could certainly make some sense there for Minnesota. I think the injury does raise concerns, but there are a bunch of great cornerbacks out there. Plus, you probably want to keep going young at that position as well. So you don't want to break the bank on a $20 million, $15 million a year guy like, I don't know, maybe a James Bradbury, for example. So what position do you want the Vikings to target the most? Let me know in the comments. Is it corner? Is it linebacker? Is it something else altogether? Drop that position group in the comments right now. Darius Slayton, next up here, the wide receiver. You want more speed. You want the vertical threat to help pair with Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen might not be back, and Slayton was a good receiver again for the Giants. His role and fit is obvious. He's the speedy downfield guy. He's never going to be a number one. He's going to be more your number three-ish, especially with you got Hawkinson and Jefferson. I think he'd be a great fit alongside Minnesota, but there isn't that much speed, and it's a bad receiver class, so money's a factor. Daron Payne is next up here. This will be almost everyone's number one target, I bet, in terms of differing teams, because who doesn't want the three-down defensive tackle who had 11.5 sacks and 18 TFLs and looked just as good as the highly paid Jonathan Allen? You want to get Payne, assuming he's not franchise tagged, you have to break the bank. I think you're talking somewhere in the range of probably upwards of $15, $16, $17, $18 million. If there's a bidding war, which does happen in free agency, oh boy, this could start to approach the $20 million range. Today's Vikings Now is sponsored by Magic Spoon. Looking for a breakfast option that will fuel you for your day ahead? Look no further than Magic Spoon. As cereal lovers, we know how hard it is to find a nutritious option that also tastes great. But Magic Spoon has changed the game. Made with high-quality ingredients, packed with 13 to 14 grams of protein and 0 grams of sugar. It's gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, making it the perfect option for those following a keto diet. The best part? Magic Spoon is delicious. With a variety of flavors like cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter, you'll be able to find your new favorite breakfast. And at only 140 calories per serving, you can indulge without the guilt. Start your day off right with Magic Spoon. Order your own personalized variety pack today and save $5 by using code CHAT, C-H-A-T, at magicspoon.com/chat, or by scanning the QR code on screen. It's that one right there. With a 100% happiness guarantee, you have nothing to lose by giving it a try. So upgrade your game today with Magic Spoon, your breakfast game. magicspoon.com/chat. Promo code CHAT for $5 off. Got my box right here, baby. Let's move to number 5. Justin Houston, the edge rusher of the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know how much more he really has left in the tank at this point. He is about as old as you'll find in terms of edge rushers, but he had 9.5 sacks this year. Yeah, he's going to be 35 soon. He keeps getting sacks. I'm down to keep giving him 1-year deals. Samaje Perine, here's a dark horse name at the running back position. If you want to go cheaper and have a veteran plus maybe draft someone in the event you do cut Dalvin Cook, Perine has been a good third down back for the Bengals. He's a veteran. He can pass protect, and that does carry value in the modern day NFL. If Dalvin ends up being cut, by the way, I do think Perine can be a decent short-term replacement, plus you draft somebody, or you give Ty Chandler a chance. Next up is Deonte Harty, the Saints wide receiver. Special teams value, here's my maybe hot take. It's Jalen Reagor, upgrade button. He's not a dynamic receiver, but if you want to have some special teams value and add the speed that you don't really have right now at wide receiver, yeah, Jefferson's fast, but I'm talking like pure deep threat role. I think Harty can help you out there. We want you guys to make Vikings Now your off-season hub. So subscribe. We're going to have 25 subs on this video. That's a pretty low bar to reach. I guarantee there are 3x 25 people at minimum who are watching right this second who love the Vikings, are looking for more videos, and yet have not subscribed. So make that change right now. Hit the sub button. Germaine Pratt, another Bengals player here, the linebacker. Again, they got some deals coming up. Logan Wilson, for example. Pratt's a good linebacker who will hit free agency. I don't know how much it will really cost to add him, but it's a good name to consider in terms of adding a starting caliber linebacker. You can free up a lot of money by moving on from guys like Jordan Hicks and Eric Kendricks, Tremaine Edmunds is next up here, and I think these are both maybe more well-known names than Edwards, just where they were drafted. Edmunds has his moments in coverage of weakness, but he's been a good football player for the Buffalo Bills. There's the size traits are always so tantalizing, and the reason why he went so early is you're looking at this freak athlete with good production, and oh, by the way, despite now hitting free agency, he's 24 years old. Let that sink in. He's 24. There are draft picks this year who are significantly older than Tremaine Edmunds. That's how young he is. You got to assume he's not yet hit his ceiling. So pick a linebacker to sign. I think Edmunds would be more expensive, but which one are you adding? GP for Germaine Pratt, TE for Tremaine Edmunds. Here's another recent top 100 pick, Zach Allen of the Arizona Cardinals, the kind of hybrid 3-4 defensive end, 4-3 defensive tackle. He can play some base 4-3 end for you as well. If you're looking for another piece along that defensive line, Allen, I do think, makes some sense, especially if you stay in that 3-4 scheme. Another linebacker who I think might command the most out of anyone on the market this year, David Long, as our Titans hosts and producer here, Rolly, can tell you, he was awesome for Tennessee this year. So you got to break the bank, but he's a young, talented option. If you want the talented veteran option, who might have his price drop down a bit because of his age, that's Lavonte David, the Buccaneers inside linebacker. David had a very strong season again. I think he's still better, by the way, than Devin White, but that's just my opinion. A lot of time spent on the Vikings linebacking core. I think Brian Asamoah is one keeper for you short-term and long-term. I think Troy Dye is just going to be a backup. Eric Kendricks, Jordan Hicks could both easily be cut, and you can spend a lot of money in terms of just riding with somebody else and cutting Kendricks and Hicks. You can get an upgrade and save money. It's always a good idea. How about an offensive lineman? How about Ben Powers? Maybe he's a backup for you. He has been up and down in his career with the Ravens. If you want another starter option because you just don't trust the Ed Ingram-Ezra Cleveland combo, Isaac Seumalo, I think I pronounced that correctly. Again, Eagles got a lot of guys they have to pay. Ravens do as well. One of those guys could be a plug-and-play starter for you. Although I'm not sure you guys want a guard. Maybe you trust Cleveland. Maybe you are hoping those guys can figure out center somehow. So should the Vikings sign an offensive guard? Y for yes, N for no. Have you noticed my trend of what I'm aiming for at wide receiver? Speed. I am a little bit worried that Mecole Hardman has never produced the same way you would expect a second-round pick to play alongside Patrick Mahomes, but he brings you speed and he'd be affordable. I think that's a good fit in the end for Minnesota. I love this name a lot. Jamel Dean, the Buccaneers corner. They got a couple guys hitting free agency. I thought Dean has played well in his time in the NFL, brings you some size, would be a good fit, I think, for whoever your new defensive coordinator is. I think he's enough scheme flexibility there. So I like Dean. I would like to continue to keep him as an option for the Minnesota Vikings because corner area I would like to focus on. Dalton Risner is really intriguing because I think he can play guard or center. There was some of that buzz coming out of Kansas State. He could do that there. Up and down a little bit of late in Denver, but they've spent a lot of money. They don't have a ton of cap to pay guys. You add Risner, I think you feel great about that addition, and you feel a lot better about your offensive line. Another corner, Emmanuel Moseley out of San Francisco. Again, you're targeting good players on teams that might not be able to afford everybody because that's what smart teams would try to do, right? Moseley, they spent big money on Travarius Ward. I think he's more of a 2. Maybe you hope Andrew Booth becomes your number 1. There's a little bit of nickel corner flex there, but he's mainly an outside guy. Now, in the event you choose to move on from either a Danielle Hunter or a Zadarius Smith, you can't cut them guys, 2 edges to consider. Marcus Davenport of the Saints or Brandon Graham of the Eagles. For different reasons, both are a little bit on the buy low side. Now, you got to convince Graham to leave Philadelphia. Probably not going to happen, but he's old. And he's somehow still producing. He's in the Justin Houston mold, right? One of the best years Brandon Graham has had in a very long time. He's always been a pressure machine. You add some more talent in Philadelphia up front, and boom, in his age 34 season, he puts up a career high in sacks after playing only 2 games last year. Davenport, meanwhile, was a first-round pick, but had a half sack this year. His numbers fell off a cliff. It'd be a buy low, 1-year deal. See what he could do in Minnesota. We will have you guys covered all offseason long with what's going on in Minnesota, so make sure you are subscribed. Hit that sub button right now. Don't miss out on anything here this offseason.